Okay, hello everyone. This is our eighth lecture of our analysis of Arthur Miller's Death of Salesman. And in this lecture, we continue the text analysis that we started earlier. Last time I think, stopped off with page 25. This lecture, we are trying to go on and explore the main events and ideas in Act 1. Okay, so let's start from where we left off last time. Okay, so last time we were exploring many of the events in the play, and we were kind of introducing the main characters. And one thing that we left off last time in page 24, we saw that there were some contradictions in the character of Willy Loman. We saw how sometimes he is boasting of himself being well liked and everyone knows him. But then when he is speaking with Linda, he's kind of being honest, and he realizes the bitter situation that he is not well liked, and that people are laughing at him, and they don't notice him at all. And we see that Linda was trying to encourage him, and she was saying to him, "No, you are." Liked, and people liked you, and they are a handsome man, and you are just joking, and you are being nice, and so on. And here we can see that Linda is also contributing to the self-illusion that Willy Loman was creating for himself. So he was living in an illusion, and every time he wants to wake up from that illusion, we see that there is a force that kind of pushes him back to where he was in that illusion. And now Linda, of course, for better or for worse, is also contributing to that. Of course, she does not intend any bad for that. She just sees him in low spirits, and she wants to help him with that. But on the long run, as we are going to see, this has a negative influence on Willy Loman. So later on from page 25, of course, we are not going to read that line by line as we used to do before, but rather we're just going to focus on the main ideas and the main events that shaped the first act of the play. So we see that in page 26, there is a mentioning of stockings, and Willy Loman sees that Linda was mending her stockings. So it seems that they are old and that they are torn, and she was kind of mending them, repairing them in order to reuse them. When Willy Loman sees her do that, he remembers something, which is his uh, kind of rendezvous with the woman in the hotel. And we see that Will Loman is feeling a sense of guilt towards Linda, so that's why he asks her, and he's angry. Okay, and as you can see here, he's saying to her, just so she's saying, just mending my stockings. They're so expensive. And Willy Loman was saying, is becoming angry, as we saw here, and taking them from her. I won't have you mending stockings in this house now. Throw them out. Of course, Willy Loman does not want to see Linda with the stockings, because this creates in him a sense of guilt that that you remember he gave stockings for free to the woman, a woman that is estranged from him. But at the same time, he is not giving stockings to his wife, and that's why she needs to repair her old stockings. Okay, so we see later on here in this page, we see Bernard entering, and Bernard was complaining about Biff's behavior and saying that Biff is not studying, and Willy Loman is saying to him, you will give him the answers. Okay, and Bernard, of course, refuses to do that, and he says that there will be a centralized exam, and they will not be able to give the answers to anyone. Okay, so and things will add up to kind of a misconduct of Biff. On the one hand, he does not study, and on the other hand, he steals a football. That's why Linda is saying that he should give it back to the coach. Okay, and Linda is adding that he is too tough with the girls, Willie. All the mothers are afraid of him. So all these things push Willie to be momentarily angry with Biff and saying that I will whip him. Okay, but later on, Willie, as we see, returns back to his previous stage, uh, and everything that we are talking about at this time is or has happened in the past. And so we are speaking about like the year 1920, 27 or 28. Okay, so when Biff was in high school. So, and uh, Linda was saying, I don't know what the matter with Biff, but Willie Loman returns back and starts or resumes supporting Biff despite all that Biff was doing, all the misconduct that Biff was doing. Okay, so Willie was saying there's nothing the matter with him. There's nothing wrong with him. Okay, you want him to be a whim like Bernard. He's got Spirit's personality. Okay, so we see that. You remember we said before that Willie Loman is one of the causes of the failure of sons, and we saw that kind of the misbehavior of sons with like Biff and the others was kind of due to Willie Loman himself. He was kind of teaching them to do the bad things, and even if he was not teaching them to do the bad things, he was kind of overlooking the misbehavior that Biff was showing. So although Biff was stealing, Willie Loman did not warn him against that. He was kind of very easy with him. So and you see that how he looks to Bernard to be. Do you want him to be a worm like Bernard? Okay. So this is the illusion that he was living in. That on the one hand, that Bernard is a failure because he's not well liked, or Biff is a success because he's well liked. And later on, we'll see that this is proven wrong or very wrong in the play when we see that Biff turns out to be a failure and Bernard turns out to be a success. And now, after that, Happy comes in and breaks that illusion and starts speaking with Willie. Okay, and this is in the present, not in the past. And Happy is offering to help his son, okay, to help his father, sorry. And he's saying to him, I will make you retire at old age and I will give you what you need. And so you don't need to work all that long time and travel anymore. But so that Willie Loman was refusing any help um, from his sons. Okay, and later on we have a very interesting thing. We have a scene in which Charlie, in the night, and this is in the present. Charlie comes in and he says that he has heard some noise and he wants to see how Willie Loman is doing. Okay, and this is at night, happening at night, the night in which Willie Loman returned back home. Okay, and so you see, Charlie said, "What's the matter, Charlie? I heard some noise. I thought something happened. Can't we do something about the walls?" Okay, so okay, and Charlie saying to Willie that I could not sleep at this night because I have a heartburn, and Willie saying to him, "You don't know how to eat." Okay, so he is insulting Charlie, and we are going to see many examples of this insult that Willie Loman is keen on leveling at Charlie. Okay, and we are going to see the reason why he is doing that. Okay, so Charlie is trying to help Willie Loman and he's trying to offer him a job. Okay, he knows how bad things are going with Willie Loman, but he's trying to help Willie Loman and you want a job, he says to him. I got a job. I told you that. Okay. So what the hell are you offering me a job for? So Charlie knows that Willie Loman is not earning anything from his job, that he is really not working, although he tries to convince himself that he's working. Because Willie Loman every week goes to Charlie and borrows from him like $50. So Charlie is trying to do some good to his neighbor and he's offering him a job, but we see that Willie Loman is not willing to do that. And we see that how he denies that he is in trouble, of course. So the problem with Willie Loman is not that he is in trouble, but the denial that he is in trouble. He denies that there is something wrong with him. If he kind of admitted that there is something wrong with him and how wrong things are going with him, he might have had a solution. People might have been able to help him, but the problem is not the troubles that he's going through, but rather the denial that he continues to make that he is going through any trouble. Okay, and so later on they start to speak about the ceiling and. Um, Charlie says, Willie Loman says that he made the ceiling, and Charlie says that he doesn't know how to make a ceiling, and it is kind of a mystery for him. Okay, and so you see here he okay okay so here Willie Loman is saying to Charlie, who admitted that he doesn't know how to make the ceiling. Willie Loman is saying a man who cannot handle tools is not a man. You are disgusting. Okay, so Charlie is trying to defend himself. Don't call me disgusting. Okay, so you see that every time they talk, Willie Loman is trying to insult Charlie, and the reason for that is a kind of self-defense. It's kind of defense mechanism, psychological mechanism in which Willie Loman is trying to defend himself psychologically because um, Charlie presents a problem for Willie, of course, not by himself, because Charlie was trying to help Willie out of his problems. But Charlie presents a problem for Willie because Charlie stands for the success that Willie is lacking. Um, that Charlie is the opposite of everything that Willie is believing of. Charlie is not well liked. Charlie doesn't is not well built. He doesn't have a great body, but in spite of that, he's a success. So what Charlie proves, what the phenomenon of Charlie proves, is that the ideal of success, the idea of success that Willie Loman was always teaching his sons is wrong. Okay, so he was saying that Charlie is not going to succeed because he's not well liked, but then proves it turns out that Charlie is a successful man while Willie is a failure. So Charlie presents a problem. He presents a challenge to the ideals of Willie Loman. That's why Willie Loman tries to insult him, tries always to belittle from his status, from the status of Charlie, in order to prove to himself at least that Charlie is not that successful and Willie is successful. And so he takes this idea that Charlie cannot fix the ceiling or make the ceiling, and that Willie Roman, in contrast, is able to make his ceiling. He takes that to be evidence that he's right, after all. And that's why you see he's always trying to insult Charlie. And here, after that, or not after that really, during that, while Charlie and Willie are speaking, we have the entrance of another character who is Ben. Okay, so um, Ben is another character, and he's the brother of Willie, and he's kind of an ideal of success. We see that Willie Loman was trying um, to say always great things about Ben. That Ben was a success, and that he went to Alaska, he got rich, and that if Willie Loman was following his brother Ben, he would also have been rich by this time. Okay. And Willie Loman, and this is interesting, was saying there was the only man I ever met who knew the answers. Okay, who? And Ben was saying, "How are you? Fine, fine, pretty sharp tonight. Is mother living with you?" Ben is asking, "No, she died a long time ago." Who? Charlie is asking. So you see here is there is a mixture between the present and the past. And as you can see here, we have two conversations going at the same time. So one conversation in the present between Willie and Charlie, and the other conversation in the past between Willie and Ben, and they intersect with each other. And Charlie seems is not able to follow on, and Willie Loman was answering questions of Ben, and Charlie is not aware that Willie Loman was speaking in his imagination to Ben. That's why we see that there is a confusion to which Charlie falls a victim. Okay, he goes on, and Charlie speaks always about his idea of success, that he went into the jungle when he was 17, and then he went out at the age of 21, and he was rich at that time. And this is the ideal of Willie Loman. And this idea of adventure, that when you go to the jungle, and we said, you remember before, that the jungle is a symbol for mystery. It is mysterious. You don't know what to expect when you go to the jungle, but if you want to succeed, you need to take that step forward and throw yourself into the jungle, into the unknown, in order to kind of succeed. So he goes on like that, and he is asking, how did you end up in Alaska or Africa, and so on. And we see Ben is answering this question, and he says, at that age, I have a very faulty view of geography, William. I discovered after a few days that I was heading due south. So instead of Alaska, I ended up in Africa. Africa, the Gold Coast, principally diamond mines. So um, Ben, from his story, was intending to go to Alaska, but he did not go to Alaska really. He went to Africa, and it is a result of a mistake. Okay, but it is kind of a lucky mistake that um, Ben has been going through. Okay, so this reminds us of the story of Christopher Columbus, who really discovered the United States, or the Americas. Um, uh, uh, Columbus was not heading to America, and he did not intend to discover America or anything else, but rather he went to India. He thought that he was kind of sailing east to India in order to import some goods and spices and so on from India. But he was mistaken. Also, seems he was not good at geography, and he ended up in the Americas. It seems he was sailing west instead of sailing east. So, the story of Ben reflects the story of um, the story of Christopher Columbus. Okay, but the result was a kind of a happy result. He ended up with diamond mines, and he was kind of using that diamond, and he became rich out of it. Okay, so Ben also tells something about their father to Willie, because seems when Ben left Willie, and when their father left, Willie was kind of very young. He was 4 or 5 years old. He does not remember too much from that period of the family history. That's why he was asking Ben about these details. Okay, so Ben here speaks about father was a great and very well wild-hearted man. Blah blah blah. How he was kind of making flutes and selling them to people, and um, Arthur Miller is making like a comparison between Willie Loman and his father. Like Willie Loman was selling goods that are made by the company, by the Howard Gun Company. These goods were not made by himself, by his hands, but rather he was selling goods that some other people have made, and he's selling them to some other people. But with Willie's father, no, he was selling flutes, and he was making these flutes, and he was kind of taking his family in the wagon, as you can see. And this is another difference from Willie Loman, because Willie Loman, when he goes to sell goods, he goes by himself. He doesn't take his family. Okay, but while his father was taking them all. And here we also know the significance of the flute. You remember there are many times in the play where the sound of flute is kind of um, is played on stage, and so it seems that there is a relationship between the flute and the um, between the flute and um, the story of Willie's father. Okay, so okay, so Willie is still speaking with Ben. It seems Willie was very keen. Okay, he's keen to know the secret for success. And the best man who can tell the secret of success is Ben. And of course, Ben is not telling is not telling Willie too much. We see Ben is when he entered all the scenes with Ben. Always when he first appears, he's looking at his watch, and he's saying that he's late, or he doesn't want to miss the train, or he doesn't want to miss like the airplane and so on. And seems that this signifies the importance of time for success. And this is also another problem for Willy Loman, because Willy Loman doesn't have too much time to waste. So he has to work very fast in order to score any success. Ben, as we saw, the practical, pragmatic, successful person, is always anxious about time. Whenever he appears, he's looking at his watch in order to see that he's not going to miss anything. And always he's saying that I have 4 or 5 minutes to spend, and he wants to go. But Willie Loman's trying to stop him and trying to ask him about the secret. How did he make it? What is the secret of success? And Willie Loman wants to know the secret of success. He doesn't want to hear any secret of success that does not conform with his own ideas. So he wants a self confirmation, like he wants Ben to tell him a secret of success that is similar to his secret of success in order to prove that he is right. That's all. He doesn't want to learn. He wants only to confirm to himself that he is right. That's all. Okay. Okay. So while Ben is there, we have a scene where the boys come in, and Willie Loman is very excited to introduce Ben to his boys and to introduce the boys to their uncle. And he is kind of boasting of his boys and how they are well built, well liked, and so on. And at the same time, he is trying to make Ben gives them some advice about how to succeed, or kind of gives kind of brief and happy advice about himself, how he made it, how he was young, and how he went into the jungle and came out rich. Okay, in order for Will Loman to prove that his sons are well liked and good and courageous and successful, we see Willie Loman here go right over to where they are building the apartment house and get some sand. So he's asking his sons to go to the apartment house, to go to the building site, and get some sand. And when we get this is a euphemism. What he really means to steal some sand. Okay, so uh, he is kind of boasting with the sand that they can steal, as if this kind of credit that you can steal. And so Charlie is a rational person, a reasonable person. And he's saying to him, to Lowen, listen, if they steal any more from the building, the watchman will put the cops on them. Well, don't let Biff. Linda's asking him. Linda's also sharing the same opinion with Charlie that Biff and Happy should not go in order to take something, should not steal because they will be arrested by the cops, by the police. Okay. Willie Loman, of course, doesn't, and Ben kind of loves, and Ben is not very much concerned about that, whether they steal and so on. Okay, and when we look at Ben, we see that this is what he is. Like when he went to Africa and he colonized Africa and took the diamond mines, these things are not his really. That he became rich by the money of other people. Okay, so for Ben, morally speaking, he's not very much anxious about stealing, about theft. Okay, because he is himself kind of a thief. So we see Willie Loman is encouraged by Ben. Okay, you should have seen the lumber they bought from last week, at least a dozen 6 by 10 worth all kind of money. So Willie Loman still insists on pushing his boys to go and steal sand, and he is kind of citing an example where they got lumber and they made something good out of it. Okay. And he says to him to listen, if that watchman, Charlie is trying or keeping advising Willie, but Willie doesn't take the advice. Willie, I gave them hell, understand, but I got a couple of fearless characters. So he, by doing that, he wants to prove to Ben, first of all, and then to Charlie and the others, that his sons are fearless characters. Okay, but Charlie, again, with his own rationalism, is saying, Willie, the jails are full of fearless characters. So being a fearless person doesn't mean that you are good, because there are many criminals who are fearless actors. Okay, but you see Ben here clapping Willie on the back with a laugh at Charlie, okay, on the stock exchange front. Okay, so Ben is saying that maybe being fearless is not that bad because when you work in the stock market, you need to be fearless. So as we saw, Ben has a very different view from Charlie. Charlie is very cautious, very careful, okay, kind of wants always to abide by the law, but Ben is not that kind of person, okay. Um, so you see that again, Willie Loman is trying to insult Charlie, a great athlete, he says. Between him and his son Bernard, they cannot hammer a nail. Okay, so he's saying that Charlie's a failure, Bernard is a failure because they cannot hammer a nail, as if this is the sole criterion of success. Because Willie can hammer a nail, can work with carpentry, can make his own ceiling, then he's successful. While Charlie and Bernard, because they are not able to do any of these things, then they are failures. So as we saw that he tries to seize every opportunity to insult Charlie, and he doesn't miss any of these opportunities. He takes any opportunity in order to insult Charlie, and we saw that this is kind of defense mechanism that he is unconsciously practicing. Okay. Okay. So Ben, as we saw, is always in a hurry. He always wants to leave. He always has just a few minutes left to speak to the Lomans. Okay, so we see that Willie is trying to stop. Willie is trying to stop, as we saw. He's trying to stop Ben. He's trying to make Ben stay as long as possible, okay, so that he can ask him about this secret of success. That's, you see, the right kind of Ben, how should I teach them? So it's always, he wants to teach his sons the criterion of success, but he wants an affirmation from Ben because Ben is a really successful person. Okay, so after Ben is kind of leaving, Willie is speaking to himself and he's saying, "I was right, I was right, I was right," and he was right um, about the idea of the secret of success. And as we said that before, Willie does not want really to know the secret of success. He wants to confirm to himself that he was right. This is what is important for Willie Loman. Okay, and so now Ben, or the character of Ben, starts to kind of fade away, and we are back to the present, and you see that Willie Loman is repeating that word another time. I was right. Okay, and again here I was right. You see, he's just needing self-affirmation that he is right. Okay, and then there is a conversation. Willie Loman is in the present and he is still kind of daydreaming. Linda comes down in order um, to see if Willie Loman is okay. Because you remember she went upstairs and she asked him to eat some cheese and then go up. But since when he didn't show up, he or she came down in order to ask about him. Okay, she saw Biff and happy, and she was speaking with Biff, and she was kind of severe and she was harsh with her son. She kind of blames what Willie Roman is passing through. She blames that on Biff, and she's saying to him that you are the reason behind that. He didn't hear from you for a long time, and uh, seems also that Willie Loman is always good when he hears news from Biff, but when Biff comes home, Willie Loman becomes angry. So, Linda, when you write you are coming, he is all smiles and talks about the future. Okay, but once you are home, you start fighting with each other, and his personality begins to change. Okay. And seems Biff still not settled, you remember, and he is moving from one job to another. And his mother is saying to him, and this is a beautiful metaphor, Biff, a man is not a bird to come and go all the springtime. Okay, so you're a man, you are an adult, you should be settled down, either here or anywhere else. But the point is that you should be settled by this time. You are in your 30s. Okay. And she is getting really harsh at Biff, and so she's saying, Biff dear, if you don't have any feeling for him, then you can't have any feeling for me. So Biff is trying to separate his relationship with his mother from his relationship to his father. So he says to her, you are my mother, I love you, and blah blah blah, but I cannot live with him. Okay, so she's making the choice very clear to him. Either you love us both and you come and live with us, or you don't love us both and you should leave. Okay, so there is no separation between herself and her husband. Okay, so they go on speaking. I mean, Linda and Biff and Happy, especially between Linda and Biff. Okay. So Biff was saying people are worse off than Willie Loman. Believe me, I've seen them. So Linda was trying to justify for her husband, as she always does, that it's not because he's not a good man that he's going through that, but that there are circumstances that are stronger than himself, and he is kind of a victim for these circumstances. He's not making any money, and so it's very natural for him to speak to himself, to go crazy and so on. Okay, Biff was trying to kind of refute this view, and he says that there are many people who are worse than Willie Loman, but they are still saying they don't take this to themselves and so on. Okay. Um, okay, so Linda was saying to them, then make Charlie your father. Okay, Biff, you cannot do that, can you? I don't say he's a great man. And this is one of the great passages in the whole play. So Linda was speaking to her sons, and later on we're going to see that um, with the movie about death of Salesman. Okay, so Linda was saying to him, "Then make Charlie your father live. You cannot do that, can you? I don't say he's a great man. Willie Loman never made a lot of money. His name was never in the papers. And he's a simple man. He's poor. He is not making too much money. His name doesn't show up in the papers, in the newspapers, because newspapers always talk about famous people, and he's not. He's not the finest character that ever lived, but he is a human being. And this is the message that we are hearing. And as if this is not the message of Linda alone, but rather the message of Arthur Miller. This is the idea out of the play, and that's why this is very important, this speech. He's not the finest character that ever lived, but he's a human being, and a terrible thing is happening to him. So attention must be paid. He's not to be allowed to fall into his grave like an old dog. Attention must finally be paid to such a person. Okay, so what Linda is basically saying that you should care for your father for what he is. It doesn't need for him to be a great man so that you would care for him. Okay, you should care for him just as the man he is. He's a poor man. He's a weak man. He's not very great. He's not very fine. But this is your father, and you have to treat him just like that. He's a human being, and terrible things is happening to him. So you should pay attention to your father. This is kind of very emotional speech, and later on we are going to see how the female characters are playing Linda were trying to kind of deliver this speech. Linda's giving some information about Willie Loman that we might not be familiar with so far. She's saying that he's not making any money, that he worked for the company for 35 years, and that they are not giving him a salary anymore. They are not giving him pension. Okay, and Biff was saying that he doesn't know about that, and now maybe he will be able to justify for his father what he was going through. And Linda also burst in another long speech. Are they any worse than his sons? Okay, so Biff was saying that the company is not grateful for his father, and Linda was saying there is no difference between the company and his sons. The company is ungrateful for him, and his sons are ungrateful for him. He has done everything he could just for you, for your happiness, and now you are not rewarding him. So Linda's saying, and what goes through a man's mind, driving 700 miles home without having earned a cent. This is very painful. He drives to long distances to go to other states, to go to other cities, in order to sell the goods that he has got from the company, but he could not sell anything. Okay, why shouldn't he talk to himself? Why, when he has to go to Charlie and borrow $50 a week, pretend to me that it is his pay? How long can that go on? So Linda is being very reasonable. She's saying it's not the right question is not that why Willie Loman is speaking to himself. The question is why wouldn't he speak to himself like that? And because everyone who is going through what Willie Loman is going through will be speaking to himself, will be driven crazy out of the difficult circumstances that he's going through. Okay, Biff is trying to give some information about his father, and Linda seems doesn't know about the affair of the woman and why and how Biff went to the hotel and discovered that his father was cheating on his mother with the woman. Biff is not giving her information. He's just saying that I know that he's a fake, and Linda's asking about the reason, and Biff is not giving any reasons. It is between me and him. That's all I have to say. I cannot say any more. It is between me and him. And to Linda, this is kind of mystery. She does not understand why the relationship between Biff and his father is so bad. Okay, she does not understand about that. Okay, and Linda is telling them about how their father is trying to commit suicide, how he was, when he was smashing the car, it's not because of his eyes, but rather because he wanted to die. Okay, he tried to do that many times. Okay, but the insurance company knew that he is not um, that he is responsible for what happened. That's not an accident. Okay, and she's telling them other information about how their father was trying to commit suicide, maybe by electricity and so on. Okay, and we see that Linda knows too much about Willie Loman, and later she says that she knows Willie Loman. She is the most person who knows about Willie Loman. Okay, so the brothers start speaking about themselves, about their plans for the future. Okay, there is some tension between them. Okay, and they start to kind of suggest some projects that they can launch in order to um, gain some financial reward after that. Okay. Um, as we see always when Willie Loman and Linda and Biff are at the same place, they start to kind of fight with each other. Willie and um, Willie and Biff are fighting with each other. Willie is saying to Biff that you are insulting me. Other times, Biff is saying to Willie that you are insulting me. On the other side, of course, denies any intent for insult and so on. Okay, so you see that um, Willie was saying, "Why do you insult me?" And Biff was, "I didn't say a word." Okay, and Linda was trying to interrupt, and always Willie was trying to kind of stops her from. He wants to stop her from interfering in the issue between himself and his son. Okay, one idea that Happy kind of threw out of his mind. Okay, we form two basketball teams to see the water polo teams. Okay, we play each other. That's $1 million worth of publicity. So according to Happy, they can make money, of course, by um, forming two basketball teams and playing one against the other. And so that will make a brand of the Loman brothers who play against each other and so on. Okay. So this idea seems kind of appealed to Biff. He says that it's great. It appealed also to Linda. Okay. And later on, they are going to speak to the father, to Willie. Okay, and we see here that whenever Linda was trying to speak, Willie Loman is kind of insulting her. He's saying to her sometimes, "Stop interrupting, don't interfere, stop talking," and so on. Okay, and Linda was saying he loved you, and they are speaking about Bill Oliver. Okay, Willie was saying, "Will you stop?" So always when Linda speaks, Willie Loman is trying to kind of stop her and chides her, okay, for speaking. And so we see that when Biff was saying to his mother that my father is treating you very badly, we see that he's right for the most part, okay. And even here, you see, Linda was trying. Oliver always thought the highest of him, and you see here a dash, which means that she is interrupted. She did not complete her sentence, and you see, will you let me speak? So he is trying to ask her to shut her mouth up in order to let him speak. This creates tension. Biff tries to defend his mother, and Willie always sees that the defense of Biff for his mother, he sees them that as if they are a team and they are against him. Okay, and that makes things even worse for the relationship between the father and the son. Okay, okay, so. Okay, so now Willie goes up, okay, in order to sleep. We saw that the last words he exchanges with Biff were not very intimate. There is a tension between them. That's why Linda is asking them, the two brothers, to go up to their father's room and to say to him good night, just to lessen things and make them good. Okay, so okay, so this is kind of what happens in the first act. They agreed that tomorrow Biff is going to Bill Oliver in order to ask him for a job, and Willie Loman was very excited about that, about the idea of Biff going to Bill Oliver in order to ask him for a job. Of course, now they have forgotten about um, the basketballs that the box of the balls uh, that Biff has stolen from Oliver. Okay, and now Willie Loman is also planning tomorrow to go to Howard, who is running the company now, and ask him to leave traveling and being a salesman and have some office job in the city, in the same city, that he doesn't need to travel anymore. Everyone kind of satisfied. There is still tension, but there is at least some hope for the future. And it all depends on how things will go um, on for tomorrow, um, with two sides, of course, with Biff, between Biff and Bill Oliver, who are supposed to meet tomorrow. On the other side, between Willie, Loman, and Howard, where Willie is going to ask Howard to give him another job, okay, and to raise his pay, and so on. Okay, so this is the main idea. These are the main ideas of the first act. Okay, and okay, so now kind of now we have had a good idea of Act One of wait of Death of Salesman. Okay, and uh, you can see, of course, that the structure of the play, as we spoke about that before, is kind of complex, and the complexity of the structure of the play stems really from the um, experiences that are going through within the mind of Willie Long. Sorry, within the mind of Willie Loman, because you see that some scenes are taking place in the present, and some other scenes are taking place in the past. Okay, so this is what I wanted to say about Act One. Um, uh, we will have our lecture, our scheduled lecture on Wednesday, also at 9. And we will speak about the themes in the play. And of course, we're not going to study the whole play. I think now the idea is clear for you. I asked you to watch performances of the play, to watch a movie about the play. And now you know already what is going to happen in Act Two. I'm not going to go through Act Two, but there is just one scene which happens at the beginning of Act Two, which is the conversation, the heated conversation between Willie Loman and Howard. Okay, and so that is interesting conversation, and also sheds light on some of the themes in the whole play. and most importantly, the theme of capitalism. So we will stop here, and I hope to meet with you on Wednesday in order to continue our analysis of the themes. Now that we have seen the events and the characters, now it is time to speak about the general ideas that the um, play has dealt with, okay, which I mean by the themes of the play. So from now until Wednesday, try to have a good time, and thank you very much for listening.